So we just finished our discussion of the consumer. Remember, the consumer optimizes utility by consuming the optimal consumption bundle given the prices and income that the consumer has, and the income that the consumer has, and the prices the consumer faces. We're now going to spend much of our time talking about the firm. And firms maximize their profits given the market that they're in, and we're going to talk about various market structures going forward. But the market that they're in is going to determine the demand for whatever it is they're selling, and the prices that they're going to be able to charge. And so they're going to optimize. They're going to optimize by choosing a quantity to produce that will maximize their profit given their costs. So we're going to have to spend a little bit of time at the end of that sentence, which is the costs. And then we're going to work our way backwards towards the beginning of that sentence, which is the market that they're in and the prices that they can charge. But let's start with the costs. So if a firm wants to produce something, they're going to need to get some stuff together. They're going to need some materials, they're going to need a factory, and they're probably going to need workers. And workers are a variable cost, meaning that you can hire as many or as few workers as you like, and often you can even hire a portion of a worker, have somebody work a few hours, or very divisible. We're going to assume that there's sort of often we're going to assume there's sort of a very infinite number of points along a line that you can hire workers. But to start, though, it's easy to just think about, we're going to hire one worker, and how much can that worker produce? And then we hire a second worker, how much can those two workers produce? And given everything else held constant, that we have a particular factory or a particular size farm, we have a certain amount of equipment, and we're going to think about how much can we produce depending on how many workers we hire. And we're going to call this the total product curve. So this is our production on this axis. How much can we produce? And this would be a number of items. We could even think of it as being in numbers of Snickers bars. So let's think of this as the Snickers bar product curve. And we have a particular factory, we have all our chocolate, we have our peanuts, we have everything we need, and we're going to just start hiring workers, and the more workers we have, the more Snickers bars we can make. So we'll start at the origin here, that if we had 0 workers, we would not be able to produce any Snickers bars. And if we hired 1 worker, so we're going to put the number of workers on this axis. If we hire 1 worker, actually, you know what, before I start the chart, let me put a little table together. So we're going to talk about the number of Snickers bars and the number of workers. Sorry about my horrible handwriting. So we had 0 workers, 0 Snickers bars. And let's say we hired 1 worker. Let's assume we could produce 200 Snickers bars. And if we hired a second worker, we could produce 350 Snickers bars. And if we hired a third worker, we could produce 475 Snickers bars. A fourth worker, 575 Snickers bars. And a fifth worker, 650 Snickers bars. So these numbers are, I've just obviously made them up for this example, but they illustrated a point. These numbers keep getting higher. The more workers we have, the more Snickers bars that we can produce. However, if you look very carefully, you'll notice that each time we hired another worker, the amount of additional Snickers bars that we could produce because of that additional worker actually went down. So from here to here is 200, and from here to here is 150, and from here to here is 125, from here to here is just 100, and from here to here is 75. Each additional worker is adding less than the previous worker added. So we call this declining marginal product of labor. So we have a total product curve that goes up like this, which is that every time we add another worker, we can produce more Snickers bars. So this would be 200, this would be 350, and this would be $4.75, that each additional worker we hire, we can make more Snickers bars, but the amount of the increase from that additional worker keeps getting smaller. The slope of this total product curve is decreasing. The slope is decreasing. The curve is increasing. More workers, more Snickers bars. But the amount of additional Snickers bars from that last worker hired is less than the additional Snickers bars we got from the worker we hired right before that. And back and back and back, all the way to 0. Okay, so now we're back with our Snickers example, and we had a total product curve, as we had discussed a second ago, and we are interested in thinking about the total costs, the average costs, the variable costs, the fixed costs. So let's assume that to make the Snickers bars, the whatever inputs get into it, the chocolate, the sugar, the artificial flavorings, whatever else, the wrapper, all of that stuff is 75 cents per Snickers. And let's say also that we've got fixed costs of $50. Probably pretty low, but we'll do this on a per day basis, $50 per day, and let's assume we're paying our workers $200 per day. And we'll assume that this total product curve is our daily production of Snickers bars given the number of workers. So let's think about what would be the total cost, the variable cost, the average variable cost, the average fixed cost, the average total cost if we were to produce 350 Snickers. Well, if we want to produce 350 Snickers, we know we're going to need 2 workers. So we'll need 2 workers times 200. That's because each worker is getting paid $200 a day. Plus we're going to need 75 cents times the 350. Because remember I said it was 35 cents per Snickers. We want to make 350 Snickers. So our variable cost, this is going to be 400 plus 262.50. So our variable cost is going to equal 662.50. And while we're here, let's think about how we would calculate the average variable cost. The average just means divide by the quantity. So we have 662.50. We know we wanted to make 350 items. So our average variable cost will be 662.50 divided by 350. And that's going to equal $1.89. So that's our average variable cost for this particular item. Our fixed cost, as I said, was $50. And so our total cost is going to be our variable cost, which is $662.50, plus the $50 of fixed cost. And so our total cost is going to equal $712.50. And our average total cost will be that $712.50 divided by 350, because remember we're making 350, and that's going to equal $2.04. And as you can see, the difference between $1.89 and $2.04 is it's actually 15 cents. But our average fixed cost is going to be $50. So that's our fixed cost was 50, right? Divided by 350. And that's going to equal 14 cents. And so if you add our average variable cost plus 14 cents, you're actually going to get $2.03. There's obviously some rounding thing going on here because actually this plus this should equal our average total cost. and actually when I did it in my spreadsheet, it all equaled, but there was many probably digits, because when you're dividing by 350, well, divided by 350, some of these things, $712 divided by 50 cents divided by 350, you're going to end up with a number of decimal places that, so the 14 cents is just rounding. But that's how you would do it. You could either add average total cost and average variable cost to get average, you add average variable cost and average fixed cost to get average total cost, or you just take total cost and divide by the quantity. And you should get the same answer either way you do it. Okay, now let's think about, sorry, this is also picking up so much of my board because I actually wanted to talk about what if we wanted to reduce 475 items. So I'm going to just write really small and hope that you'll be able to see it. If we were to make 475 Snickers bars, let's see how much that would cost. So we would need 3 workers, obviously. So that would be 3 times 200 is $600, which would be our labor cost. And remember, we can need 75 cents per item to, you know, for the wrapper and for the ingredients and all of that stuff. So that's also part of variable cost. So be 75 cents times the quantity that we're making, which is 475. So that would equal $356.25. And then, unfortunately, this is a quantity, and this is an amount, and then this is an amount, and this is a quantity, so it isn't necessarily a good form in putting together a little table here. But we know we can add that together, and we will get variable cost, which is $956.25. And then our fixed cost, of course, is $50. And so our total cost is $1,006.25. And so we could divide by our quantity. Sorry about how small it is, but you can follow the red. The red is the 475 quantity. So if we have $1,006.25 divided by our quantity of 425, that will give us our average total cost of $202.12. And our average variable cost, which would be $956 divided by 425, is going to be $2.01. And our average fixed cost, and this is maybe the one I'm more interested in, just talk about for 1 second. Our average fixed cost is going to be $50 divided by 425, and so that's going to be 11 cents. So we've gone from 14 cents to 11 cents, and that's because as although fixed cost is fixed, average fixed cost is going to fall. The larger the quantity, the more quantity over which the fixed cost is spread. We call that the spreading effect. So average fixed cost is going to fall as quantity increases. That's always, always true. Variable cost is always going to increase, right? Because the more stuff you're going to make, the more things you're going to need to make it with. So variable cost is always going to increase in quantity, and average variable cost usually increases with quantity because of the diminishing returns effect. And you see that here with labor. Each worker costs us exactly the same amount as each previous worker, $200 per day, but the amount of product that that additional worker is able to make is less. So the average variable cost of those items goes up as we hire more workers to make more Snickers bars.